order. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Wilmette. I now ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Sullivan.
Here.
Trustee Vero.
Here.
Trustee Dodd.
Here.
Trustee Kurzman. I think he froze.
Joel, you froze.
I'll come back. Trustee Kennedy.
Here.
Trustee Plunkett. Trustee Plunkett.
You're on mute.
Yeah.
She's on mute.
So we're having technical difficulties tonight on two trustees.
Oh.
5 out of 7, that's not bad.
All right, looks like Trustee Kurzman might be back.
Better than ever.
All right. Trustee Kurzman.
Present.
All right. President Belinsky.
Well, Trustee Plunkett looks like she's unmuted now.
Oh.
Unmuted, I'm here.
All right.
And then did we get Trustee Sullivan as well?
Yes, he was. Yeah, we got him first, and then President Belinsky.
Okay. We are all here. We have a quorum. This meeting is being conducted remotely via the Microsoft Teams software. So I'll now ask Peter Skiles, our Director of Administrative Services, to explain some logistics to those who have joined us tonight.
Okay, thank you, President Belinsky. So everybody should have started the meeting tonight muted. And when President Belinsky calls for public comments, those joining us from the Teams client, you can toggle your mute status by clicking on the microphone on the meeting toolbar. There's a little line that goes through it when you're muted. So you'll have to click that to unmute yourself. And if you've joined by audio conference dial-in, reminder that you've got to press *6 on your phone to toggle your mute. And just a reminder that only attendees can unmute themselves. No one can unmute another attendee. And if anybody has technical difficulties later when it's your turn for public comment and you're having some problems, you can go over to the YouTube live stream and provide your comment there, and I will read it back into the record here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Skiles. For those watching this video in the future, the state of Illinois is currently under a gubernatorial disaster proclamation, which was issued by Governor Pritzker in response to the coronavirus pandemic. As a result, all in-person village governmental meetings have been canceled. However, the state has amended the Open Meeting Act to permit electronic meetings of governmental bodies like the village board during a gubernatorial disaster proclamation. So we are conducting our business tonight in compliance with state law. As usual, this meeting is being broadcast live on our local access cable channel 6, as well as on the internet on the village's YouTube channel. And I'll give you the URL. It's youtube.com/user/villageofwilmette/live. So one more time, www.youtube.com/user/villageofwilmette/live. So if you're watching on Channel 6, there's a little bit more interactivity if you move over to YouTube. A recording of the meeting will be archived on the village's YouTube website, as we do with all of our televised meetings. Now, this is a remote meeting, so it obviously requires a different mechanic for public participation. So to ensure that our residents, business owners, and other interested parties have had the opportunity to participate, we have solicited public comment prior to the start of the meeting via email. If you sent an email to publiccomment@wilmette.com prior to the start of the meeting, your email has been provided to the board members. It will be included in the minutes of the meeting, but it will not be read during the meeting. Members of the public who are watching the broadcast can participate during our designated public comment periods by submitting comments through the YouTube live chat feature, and then a member of the village staff will read that comment to the village board. For those of you who have connected via telephone or via the Microsoft Teams application, at the appropriate time, I'll ask for people to speak up if they'd like to make a comment. Because of the logistical difficulties of not being together, I will first ask people if they would like to make a comment, and I will assemble a list, and then I will call on people individually when it is their turn to speak. For people speaking during public comment, they will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board, just as they are in an in-person meeting. All comments from the public, regardless of how they are received, will be recorded in the meeting minutes, and I am going to mute everyone. And I would ask that you please stay on mute until it is your opportunity to speak. Now, before each meeting, the board receives a packet of agenda materials. These materials are also posted on wilmette.com on the Friday before the village board meeting so that residents and other interested parties can review the very same materials that the board members receive. This week's packet contained 340 pages. The next item on the agenda is item 2, public comment. At an in-person meeting during public comment, individuals are allotted up to 3 minutes to address the board on an item which is not on the agenda. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. Normally, items that are listed under the report of officers are not the type of items which include public comment. However, at our last meeting, there was a resident who wished to make a public comment relating to the appointments to the Housing Commission. And at this meeting, there's a similar item under report of officers relevant to the introduction of individuals who are recommended for appointments to the Human Relations Commission. So I realize there is public interest in the topic, and so while it's not part of our normal meeting procedures, I will ask for public comment after the individuals introduce themselves, and I will also open the floor to comments from any of the trustees at that point in time. So, repeating myself, during public comment, individuals are allotted up to 3 minutes to address the board on an item which is not on the agenda. This meeting is being conducted remotely, so public comments which were submitted by email in advance of the meeting have been provided to board members, are part of the public record, but will not be read during the meeting. So I will now ask people who are watching on YouTube Live to submit comments for the village staff to read. You can find the chat window to the right of the YouTube Live video window. And while they are typing, I will ask if there are any individuals who have connected to the meeting via Microsoft Teams or via the telephone who would like to address the board. I'd ask that you please identify yourself now. And again, you do have to unmute yourself. If you're on Teams and if you dialed into the phone, not only do you have to unmute your phone, but you have to hit *6 to unmute yourself within the Microsoft Teams application. So is there anyone who would like to address the board on an item which is not on the agenda? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Skiles, were there any individuals who submitted any comments via YouTube Live?
No comments, Mr. President.
Okay, very good. So we will move on to item 3, which is the consent agenda. As described on the agenda, items which are routine business that are not normally debated by the village board are placed on the consent agenda. So all items beginning with the number 3 are on the consent agenda, and tonight that means you've got items 3.1 through 3.29. But excluding item 3.27, the staff sent out an email today removing 3.27 from the agenda tonight. That will be considered at our next meeting as there are still some negotiating to do apparently. So items on the consent agenda are up for approval tonight. If an item is not removed by a member of the audience and it's not removed by one of the trustees, the item will be approved and will not be discussed. So I will begin by asking if there's any member of the audience who would like to remove an item from the consent agenda. And given this is a remote meeting, we have to go through the same process for public comment. So people who are watching on YouTube Live should now submit their requests to remove something from the consent agenda. And again, if there are any individuals who have connected to the meeting via Microsoft Teams or via the telephone, if you'd like to remove an item from the consent agenda, please identify yourself now. Unmute yourself if you're in Teams, and *6 and will unmute you if you are dialed in for the phone. So is there anyone who would like, who's dialed in, who would like to remove an item from the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Skiles, were there any requests from people via YouTube Live?
No requests.
Okay, very good. Are there any items that any of the trustees would like to remove from the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda? And again, it is the consent agenda as printed in the agenda with the exception of item 3.27.
So moved.
I believe that was Trustee Barrow. Trustee Sullivan, would you give me the second then?
I'll give you the second.
All right, great. It's been moved and seconded. Would the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Trustee Sullivan,
Aye.
Trustee Barrow,
Aye.
Trustee Dodd,
Aye.
Trustee Kurzman,
Aye.
Trustee Kennedy,
Aye.
Trustee Plunkett,
Aye.
and President Belinsky.
Aye, so the motion carries. The consent agenda has been adopted. If you are here for an item on the consent agenda, it was just approved. And I will clarify for people who are watching tonight, Again, all of the items that begin with the number 3 have been approved, and that includes Land Use Committee items 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, and 3.9. So if you were here for one of those items, it was just approved. There'll be no further discussion of those items or any of the other items on the consent agenda, so you are free to hang up, log off, exit in any way that's appropriate, but of course you are also more than welcome to watch the rest of the meeting tonight. Next item, we'll move on to the report of officers, and the first item under the report of officers is introduction of Bruce Davidson, who is recommended for appointment to the Environmental and Energy Commission. Mr. Davidson, if you would unmute yourself. I see you are unmuted now. Welcome to the meeting tonight. If you would take 60 seconds or so, introduce yourself to the board and the community, tell them about your background and your interest in the Environmental and Energy Commission.
Thank you. Good evening, President Belinsky and trustees. I'm honored to be nominated for this Environmental Energy Commission and hope that if the board approves my candidacy, I'll be able to help improve the environmental and energy footprint of our village. You have my vitae in your packet, so I won't reiterate that information. 20 years ago, I was able to become a full-time volunteer, and I have spent most of that time working on environmental efforts of various sorts. I'm very impressed with the village's sustainable community strategic plan. There are so many very important recommendations contained there. I think a major task is going to be to prioritize those things which get the biggest bang for the buck and that we actually have the talent to implement. My restoration work in the forest preserves has taught me a lot about native ecosystems and the impact of climate change on those ecosystems. As we plan for more native plantings in Wilmette's ecosystem, I think we need to think about where the climate's going rather than where it's been. Again, I thank President Belinsky for nominating me, and I hope that I'll be able to make our village an even better place to live and raise our families. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Davidson? Well, on behalf of the board, Mr. Davidson, thank you very much for volunteering. We are very lucky, and the next item also demonstrates this, but we're very lucky in Wilmette that many of our residents who are very talented also are willing to devote time and energy to the community. So thank you very much, sir. All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is item 4.2, which is introduction of Jerry Smith, Human Relations Commission Chair, and Andronin, Van Gilmer, Eric Halij, Swathi Mathkur, Malika Myers, and Mark Teasdale, who are recommended for appointment to the Human Relations Commission. So let me provide some context before having the individuals introduce themselves. So I would refer people to the memo that was included, item 3.13, which is the actual recommendation of these individuals for appointment to the Human Relations Commission. The actual vote on the appointments by the village board will take place at the next regular meeting of the board in 2 weeks. So the memo that I submitted that again is included in the packet, I'll just hit some highlights. So during 2020, we received 35 talent bank questionnaires that indicated an interest in the Human Relations Commission. That's really the result of the publicity and recruitment efforts that the village undertook after the administration committee and then the village board as a whole recommended that process to take place. And just for comparison's sake, we had received 9 TBQs during the prior 3 years combined for the HRC. And as I said a moment ago, we're very fortunate that residents as talented as the ones that live in Wilmette are willing to volunteer their time. So very early on in the process, I consulted with staff and thought that it made sense to ask the current chair of the Human Relations Commission, Jerry Smith, to remain in place for a to-be-determined transitional period of time. Mr. Smith currently serves as Director of Minority Affairs for the College of Engineering at the University of Illinois, Chicago. And just, I know Jerry from the years of my service here, and he's a great man and he's got a great demeanor, and it's just perfect to sort of, relaunch this commission. And so I appreciate his willingness to continue to step up and into that role. And then while going through the process, I had a number of conversations with the staff and also with Mr. Smith about the types of people and the backgrounds of the individuals for the commission. And just for reference, the village code says that the village president may give preference to candidates who are disabled or have an immediate family member that is disabled, experienced or trained to promote diversity and cultural understanding, experienced or trained in youth-oriented services, a veteran or experienced or trained in promoting veteran affairs, experienced and trained in the law, or historians or have extensive training and schooling in American history. Now, because we got so many talent bank questionnaires for the Human Relations Commission, we really had a luxury of looking for people who really had a different background, an interesting different background that would have brought a unique perspective and diversity to the commission's work. And I think when you look at this group of individuals, it's an extremely diverse group who will bring this sort of broad range of personal experience and knowledge to the commission. So I'm thrilled about all the individuals who submitted TBQs, but in particular the individuals who, if approved by the board in 2 weeks, will be serving on the Human Relations Commission. So I spoke with 11 individuals total regarding the opportunity. I shared all of the TBQs that we received in 2020, as well as the ones from the 3 prior years, so 44 in total, both with the staff, discussed that with Mike Brayman and Eric Haldren, and then also shared them with Jerry to get his feedback and the like. And through that process, we've arrived at the list of 7 individuals, including Mr. Smith, for the adult positions on the Human Relations Commission. There are 2 high school students who will also be appointed to the commission. I think there's more work to do there, working with the local high schools, promoting the opportunity to students. So I do expect to be back to the board with some recommendations in the very near future, but didn't want to hold up moving forward here for those last 2 spots. So with that, I see Mr. Smith is unmuted, and at least his picture is on my screen. I don't know if it's on everyone's screen. So Jerry, if you would take a minute or 2 and just, actually not only just talk about yourself, but provide your thoughts in terms of the team here and just, your perspective on the HRC moving forward here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, trustees. Thank you, President Belinsky. It's a great opportunity to serve the village. Being a longtime village resident for over 25 years, I had the opportunity and almost the overwhelming opportunity to review all the candidates. And it really, really warmed my heart to see so many outstanding, talented individuals that submitted their applications to the talent bank, and the selection of, I hope to be approved, 6 members to this committee. We look forward to serving the village and providing our perspective and assisting others in the village to truly, truly, improve Wilmette to be the best place to live. And it's been an outstanding term serving in this capacity. The different members I've met and the leadership from this board of trustees and the next ones. President Belinsky, I turn it back over to you and the trustees.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So with the other individuals, I'm just going to go in the order which I said earlier, and that as they're listed in the agenda packet. So the first up is Ann Dronin. Ms. Dronin, if you would unmute yourself, introduce yourself to the board, that would be wonderful. I see you there. You're unmuted. Let's see if your video comes up.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ann Dronin. My husband, I think the video's coming up. My husband, Keith, and I have lived in Wilmette for 27 years. We have 2 children in their 20s. Our youngest has a developmental disability and attends the transition program at New Trier High School. I recently retired from a long career in information technology, most recently as an IT director at Northwestern University. I have volunteered for many years with groups which support individuals with developmental disabilities and youth groups. I currently serve on the board of Our Place, which supports teens and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities so they can live live meaningful, productive, and socially connected lives in their home community. I also continue to treat high school parents with students with disabilities and serve on the board for Misericordia's Women's Auxiliary. I'm really excited about this opportunity, and I really look forward to serving on the team and the patient.
Thank you, Ms. Dronin. Next up is Van Gilmer. Let's see, Van. Don't see his name, so he may be dialed in. Oh, no, there he is, Van. You're unmuted. Let's see if your video comes up.
Thank you, President Belinsky and members of the village board.
There you are.
I grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina, in segregated America, when there were practically no chances that Black and white people would come together. And I had no idea that out of that period, I would come to a time when so many places are open. During the 60s, I participated in the sit-ins in Woolworth's lunch counter. I also didn't have any idea then that it would end up being a national movement that would finally open some of the places where people eat and gather that had before been segregated. It was in 1967 that I first came to Wilmette. And I came to Wilmette to visit the Baha'i Temple. I walked up Linden Street, and I walked with a group of integrated folk, Black and white. It was one of the first times I'd ever done that. And I walked up Linden, and I looked at the houses, and I thought, oh, if I had ever walked in a neighborhood like this in my own city, something could happen to me. I could be arrested. Well, after 37 years now of working in the federal government and doing jobs like managing engineering groups and being the head of equal employment opportunity, I finally retired, but ended up at Wilmette again, this time as the music director at the Baha'i Temple. And I've been here for 14 years in Wilmette. And I never really thought about my role or what my role could be to help what really has been for me a wonderful place to live, but a place where I see no people of color. And so when the opportunity came to apply for a possible position on the Human Relations Commission, I thought this is now the time for me to help in whatever ways I can. And so I'm very honored to be one of the persons who you will consider to be on the Human Relations Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmer. Next up is Eric Halige. Mr. Halige, see your name. Let's see if we get you unmuted and on the screen. You are unmuted. I see that.
Can you guys hear me?
We can. You have a little bit of an echo. Do you have? Are you on two devices?
I don't think so. Let me. How's that? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect.
We can hear you now. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
You can't see me?
I can't.
I can see him. I can see him.
Okay, so he's just not on my screen. Very good.
All
Mr.
right.
Halige, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself to the board and to the community.
Thank you, President Belinsky, and thank you, trustee members. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about my qualifications, I hope, and a little bit about my background. My husband and I moved to Wilmette about 1.5 years ago. We lived in the city of Chicago for about 15 years. Went to school there and graduated and lived there and grew up. We adopted 2 children from the cradle and decided it was time to move to the suburbs. And so after an exhaustive search of many different suburbs around close to the city, we landed on between Wilmette and Oak Park, and loved both, and we're looking for houses in both. we were drawn, I think, a little bit closer to Oak Park because of the diversity we felt in the village. We saw a lot of pride signs. We saw a lot of same-sex couple families. We heard from our friends who were moving that that's where they were located to. We found a house, a great house in Wilmette, and we moved here. And as we were searching for that house, we asked a lot of individuals, so is Wilmette diverse, right? We have a diverse family. I have 2 biracial children. That was a big concern for us. And everyone that we asked kind of made the same facial expression of, well, kind of, sort of. And I kind of, that made both my husband and I nervous, but we knew Wilmette, and we knew it was a great city and a great town to raise a family, and the school districts were awesome. And so we made the decision to move here. And so when this opportunity arose, I wanted to take this opportunity to offer my opinion and my background and my thoughts and opinions on how we could make Wilmette more diverse, more welcoming to diverse individuals, diverse families like my own, who are making the same decision that we had to make about moving to the city, moving out of the city into a suburb, and making it more known that Wilmette is diverse and it has a lot to offer, and it can be a really great place for anyone to raise a family. So thank you for thinking about the recommendation, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Lige. Next up is Swathi Mothker. Dr. Mothker, would you unmute yourself, and we'll see if you get up on the screen. You're unmuted. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Now I think we can. Keep going.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
There we go.
Wonderful. Yes. Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm honored to be one of the members being considered for the commission. Just a little bit about me. We actually, my husband grew up in the North Shore area, and I actually am from Indiana. And we lived in Indiana, and interestingly enough, decided to move out to Illinois mainly for diversity. We did live in the Chicagoland area for a period of time, and then selected on Wilmette. I have 3 children. I'm a mother of 3 children, and I am a physician who made a change from clinical practice, and now I work in the insurance industry. I have a personally vested interest in making sure or participating in making this a community that's welcoming, not just to immigrants or children of immigrants. I'm a children of Indian immigrants, but people of all races, ethnicities, orientations, and backgrounds. I think the world is just becoming a much more global culture, and it's important not just for us but for our children to have that exposure. Some of my experience that I listed in my CV related to working with Asian communities and Indian communities in particular is with the domestic violence shelter. And so there was a lot of cultural nuances, I think, within the Asian community that I feel that I could bring to the table as part of this commission. Again, I'm really honored to be considered for this position, and I look forward to working with other members of the commission towards the common goal.
Thank you, Dr. Mothker. The next up is Malika Myers. Ms. Myers, if you would unmute and see if we can get your video up on the screen as well.
Can you hear me and see me?
I can hear you, and now I can see you.
Okay, perfect. Well,
Welcome.
Good evening, President Polinsky, and good evening, trustees. My name is Malika Myers. My family and I moved to the village about 3.5 years ago. My husband and my 2 children, one of whom is now at Loyola as a sophomore, the other is at Wilmette Junior High. And we moved from Connecticut, so we really had no idea what we were getting ourselves into because we didn't know the area very well. I would say our experience since we've moved has been mostly good, but not without incident, as one of very few Black families in the Wilmette area. And similar to many of the other potential commission members that have spoken tonight, really look forward to making sure that Wilmette is welcoming, and maybe hopefully for the next family of color or the next same-sex couple family that moves in, and providing an environment that's even more welcoming than the environment that many of us found. When I was talking to my 7th grader today and said, I have a call today, and I told him what it was about. And he said to me, Mom, why do you sign up? You're so busy. You have so many things. And I said, honey, there's a saying that says, be the change you want to see in the world. And so that's what really inspired me to put my name forward. I serve as the Chief Human Resources Officer for Hyatt Hotels. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about issues related to diversity, equity, inclusion, engagement, belonging, and I'm looking forward, if approved, to putting those skills and that experience to work alongside my fellow commission members. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. I can relate to being busy and still having a commitment to public service,
yeah.
As can many of the other trustees on the board and the other members of our boards and commissions, and we appreciate your willingness to do that. Okay, so last but not least, Mark Teasdale. Dr. Teasdale, would you unmute yourself, and let's see if your video can come up on the screen. Okay. You're still showing as muted. Let's see. Dr. Teasdale? Give him a moment here. Sometimes as we all know from doing our Zooms and Teams meetings, your screen freezes and you're stuck, and you sort of have to start over. All right, well, what I'm going to do now is we'll come back to, if he can chime in, we will come back to him as soon as he chimes in. But as I said in my introductory comments during public comment, if there is any individuals who would like to make a public comment relating to this topic, I will open the floor to them now for their designated 3 minutes as usual. So if any individual who is on the line would like to address the board, please unmute yourself and let me know, and I will assemble a list and we'll go through the list. So are there any individuals who would like to address the board?
I would like to say something. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Who is that, please?
Oh, so my name, it's Lori Goldstein.
Okay. Let me see if there's anyone else, Ms. Goldstein, and if there isn't, I will come right back to you. Anyone else who would like to address the board? All right, Ms. Goldstein, the floor is yours. You have your 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. I'm sitting at home listening to all of the applicants, the appointees introduce themselves, and I'm just thrilled. And I just wanted to come on and say how delighted I am to learn a little bit more about these individuals that will be serving in such an important capacity. And I really appreciate it. I also wanted to, I know the administration committee has been thanked so many times, but I just want to say again, now we're seeing a little bit of like more of the fruits of your labor. So thank you again, trustees Dodd, Barrow, and Sullivan for all of the hard work that you did over the summer and the fall. And thank you as well, President Belinsky, for these appointments. I look forward as a resident to assisting, if there's any opportunity for residents to assist, I, would be happy to, and just wanted to, again, express my thanks and congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Ms. Goldstein. All right, Mr. Teasdale, or Dr. Teasdale, if at any time you find the ability to unmute yourself, please let us know. But I will also open it up now if there are any trustees who would like to comment, and certainly given that this is the second set of recommendations, if you'd like to comment on the process in general or anything at all, the trustees, the floor is yours as well. So just let me know if you would like to add to the discussion here at hand.
This is Trustee Dodd. I'd like to just say a few words, Mr. President Blinsky.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. First of all, I just wanted to thank President Blinsky for his hard work over the last few months, interviewing a number of candidates. Obviously, this took a tremendous amount of time on your behalf, and just on behalf of all the trustees as well as the administration committee that spent a lot of time over the summer. I'm just very appreciative of your hard work. And I think we've just, clearly you've done a tremendous job of following the process that was recommended by the board. And then also we have an unbelievable group of residents, and I'm just super excited for this to get started. So thank you, President Blinsky. I'd also just like to thank Mike Brayman, who is our village manager. We heard lots of feedback from the community throughout the administration process about the importance of public outreach, making residents in the community aware of the opportunities and the openings that were available on the commission. And clearly the work on behalf of Mike and his team was successful. As President Blinsky said, we had 35 talent bank questionnaires just for the Human Relations Commission, and that was more than we got in the past 3 years for all the other commissions. So I just think I hope all the residents are happy with that, because we heard your feedback loud and clear, and I think the results have been very successful. And then finally, I'd just like to thank all the residents who submitted a talent bank questionnaire, as well as those who are going to serve on the commission. I think we are just so lucky in our community to have such an unbelievably talented group of individuals. President Blinsky has mentioned that many times.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank all the residents who, as well, who submitted their applications. And for those who didn't get selected, be patient. Just kind of like this. We've heard a lot about being patient these days with the vaccination, things like that. But please be patient, because we will for sure look to at some point put you on some sort of commission. So thank you again.
So Trustee Kennedy, I see you have your hand up, but it looks like Dr. Teasdale was able to connect, and I see he's unmuted. So Dr. Teasdale, are you on again? Because I saw you leave and then come back.
Yes, I believe I'm on now, and this should be working.
I can hear you, and now I can see you. Great. Welcome.
Excellent. Thank you. My apologies. My computer said everything was working, so I was talking, and you were saying you couldn't hear me. So I don't know what happened. But anyway, thank you, President Belinsky, and thank you, trustees, for having me on this evening. I am an ordained pastor in the United Methodist Church. I've served for over 20 years in that position, and of that, the last 13 years, I have been serving in the role of being a professor at Garrett Evangelical, which is the United Methodist Seminary that sits on the campus of Northwestern. You've probably seen it if you're driving south on Sheridan. You look towards the lake, and it looks sort of like half of Notre Dame is sitting there, and that's us. And I've had the opportunity to, in that role, to be able to work with a wide variety of people across all different spectra, from race to ethnicity to theology to political orientation, and both domestically and internationally. And so I have a strong commitment to the idea that faith communities should be part of working towards bringing about the common good in civil society. And I would especially be excited about coming on board the HRC to help work alongside of the many faith communities that there are in Wilmette, to be able to help work towards that together. So that's something that's not just out and siloed away from the rest of civil society, but is all brought in together, so we can work towards a common good.
Thank you, Dr. Teasdale. And no apology necessary for the technological glitches. I think we all live with those every day. Trustee Kennedy, you did have your hand up, so I will recognize you and offer you the floor.
Thank you. I don't, once again, Trustee Gadai got there before me and said just about everything I ever wanted to say about this process. And thank you to everyone. I would just add that this wouldn't be possible also without the community. And the League of Women Voters has been pushing for this for some time. And I think that they deserve credit, and the people who have applied in the talent bank and others who participated in Trustee Dodd and the administrative committee meetings, I think added a lot to the process. And it's just so heartwarming that this all came together so well and so quickly. And President Belinsky, kudos for all the work that you did and the way that it's come out. I think we're a better place for this, and I think that we're looking forward to a bright future at this point. So thanks to everyone.
Thank you, Trustee Kennedy. Any other comments from any of the trustees? And I agree, Trustee Dodd, Trustee Kennedy covered a lot of ground there, so thank you for your comments. Okay, so once again, thank you to all of the individuals who submitted a talent bank questionnaire. Thank you to the individuals who are now recommended for the HRC. I thank you for your future efforts on behalf of the village. All right, we'll move on to item 4.3, which is requests for executive session for discussion of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body pursuant to Section 2 sub C sub 1 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, and discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under this act pursuant to Section 2 sub C sub 21 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. All right, next up in report of officers is a report from our village manager, Mr. Brayman. Mr. Brayman.
All right, thank you, President Belinsky. I have one item tonight, and I believe it's the item at the top of most of our residents' minds, which is the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine in Cook County. As we've discussed before, we operate under the jurisdiction of the Cook County Department of Public Health. That's us and 126 other suburbs in Cook County. They are responsible for distribution and administration of the vaccine to our residents. Just yesterday, Cook County unveiled a new website where all suburban residents can sign up for updates as well as access to appointments for the vaccine. That is vaccine.cookcountyil.gov. We pushed that out in a special e-news blast. We also have it on the homepage of our website. But we do want to caution residents, what we're hearing from Cook County is that there is really not sufficient supply of the vaccine at this time to address all the individuals in Group 1B. 1B in the state of Illinois is 3.2 million residents, and there's nowhere near that much vaccine in the state right now. So that's not just a Cook County problem, it's a problem across the state and across the country. We do know that there were about 5,000 appointments yesterday that were filled through the Cook County site, and more will become available. So we encourage residents to keep checking there. We're also working closely with Cook County to advocate on behalf of our residents to try to accelerate this rollout. We have proposed to pilot a program with our neighbors that would utilize local fire department paramedics to administer vaccines and get this process going faster. We're making some progress with the county on that, but that will take some time to move forward. We have committed to the county that we will invest whatever financial and personnel resources are necessary to help them get the job done. So we'll continue to have updates in our weekly e-news. If there's any breaking news that is helpful to our residents, we'll push that out in a special email blast and encourage residents to keep checking our website and the Cook County website as well for more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brayman. The next report is from our Corporation Counsel, Mr. Stein.
I have no report, Mr. President.
Next item is item 5, which is the report of the local liquor control commissioner, and there's no report tonight. So we'll move on to our standing committee reports. First up is the Land Use Committee, item 6.1, and Trustee Barrow.
All items are on the consent agenda.
The Finance Committee is Trustee Kennedy's.
The committee has no report this evening.
Trustee Dodd and the Administration Committee.
All items were covered on consent.
Trustee Sullivan, Municipal Services.
All items were approved on consent.
Public Safety, Trustee Kurzman.
All items approved on consent.
And the Judiciary Committee is Trustee Plunkett.
All items were on consent.
Item 6.7 is report from special committees. There are no reports from our special committees. Item 7 is new business. There's no additional new business to discuss. Item 8 is adjournment. So may I have a motion to adjourn to executive session for discussion of, and before before we make this motion, Mr. Skiles, if you're still on, would you just direct the trustees or remind us are we supposed to leave? If we hit the leave button, do we automatically go into this meeting?
Yeah, what we're going to do it like we did last time. We're having a little technical difficulties with the breakout room tonight. So what we're going to do is I'll go over to the executive session meeting and then I'll dial each one of you individually, and then you can accept that invite and join the meeting over there, just like we did last time. So
Okay.
just a quick word of caution that if any of you, the village board, join the meeting on 2 devices, make sure you don't leave your other device in the main board meeting. You want to drop the meeting if you have a second device that's connected.
Okay, so we should just leave once we adjourn, and then you will get us back in.
Yeah, and then we'll invite you into the executive session, and then you don't have to click the leave button from the main meeting. You'll get a call, and you can just accept that, and you'll jump over to the other meeting and put this one on hold.
Oh, okay, so we should not leave. We should wait for your invite, join via that, and that way when we leave the executive session, we'll come back to this meeting and we can adjourn the open meeting.
Yeah, you may need to click the resume button in the center of your screen from this meeting. You'll see that it's the meeting is put on hold when you take the other call.
Okay, very good. All right, so
Mr. Scott, before you go, where's this invite going?
It's going to pop up on your screen, Trustee Barrow. I'll go ahead and call you as soon as I jump over to the other meeting once you adjourn officially here.
Yeah, so don't disconnect. Just trustees, just hang on the line. All right, but item 8 is adjournment. So may I have a motion to adjourn to executive session for discussion of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body pursuant to Section 2 sub C sub 1 of the Illinois Open Meeting Act, and discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under this act pursuant to Section 2 sub C sub 21 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act.
I so move.
So that's Trustee Kennedy with the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Trustee Plunkett. Again, will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adjourn to executive session?
Trustee Sullivan,
Aye.
Trustee Barrow,
Aye.
Trustee Dodd,
Aye.
Trustee Kurzman,
Aye.
Trustee Kennedy,
Aye.
Trustee Plunkett,
Aye.
and President Belinsky.
Aye. So the motion carries. We stand adjourned to executive session. Trustees hang around, and Mr. Skiles will get us in the right place. And members of the public, we're going to enter a closed executive session for the purposes described. And when that's over, we will return to the main meeting just for the purpose of adjourning the main meeting. So
What is this? I'm not getting a call. I'm not getting a call. Let me close this a minute and see what it's doing. I see the agenda. I'm not seeing that I can do anything here. Oh, God, I don't know. I'm not sure what's wrong with her, 'cause
I sent you the calendar invite for the executive session. Can you check your email?
Yeah, hold on. Yep. I just see it now. So, hold on a second. My daughter just
All right, I'm back. Dan, it looks like you're back.
I've been here the whole time.
Wow, look at us.
Peter, are you still there, or Mike, or Eric?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay.
Wow, Mike, are you home? You don't even have your tie on anymore.
I ran home. I figured I could get home in time. Yep.
Good for you.
Did you really make it that home from the village to home that fast?
Oh,
3 hours that long?
If I hit all the lights,
It's almost been an hour, Dan.
Yeah, I could do it in about 18 minutes on a good night. Speeding.
Oh, so for the record, I should write down that we adjourned at 9:13 p.m.
So we're just waiting because somehow we lost Peter.
Yeah, I think he disconnected. So I did email him separately and just reminded him that I'll have to go to the meeting link and just
Yep.
rejoin the main
And I
meeting.
think he knows. I think he
Okay.
knows that. But
President Belinsky, we only need 4 to adjourn the meeting, so we could probably just knock that out.
Well, who else is missing? Peter and Joel, right? I haven't put the
Yes, that looks right. Yeah.
Here comes Peter.
Let's give him a sec. It's okay.
Peter's on now too.
Okay, I see Peter. I don't see Joel. Well, should we just, okay. So we are back in open session. It's 9:15 p.m. Had a little bit of logistical efforts with the Microsoft Teams. At this point, I would entertain a motion to adjourn from the public meeting.
So moved.
That was Trustee Sullivan. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Trustee Plunkett. Would the clerk please call the roll on the motion? I would note that I believe Trustee Kurzman is absent at the moment, but we certainly still have a quorum.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Barrow.
Aye.
Trustee Dodd.
Aye.
Trustee Kennedy.
Aye.
Trustee Plunkett.
Aye.
And President Belinsky.
Aye, so the motion carries. We stand